Oh, it's working. It's working. Can you guys hear me? Hello? The world, can you hear me? Please. It looks on my side like you can. Oh my god. That was something. I restarted the computer twice and I unplugged the camera device 3 times, changed the USB port, nothing helped. My god. But in the end, I went and checked like the system devices. I never went there before, so I don't know what this was. And the microphone was muted in the system. I have no idea how that happened. I never went into that tab before in my life, so I have no idea how that happened. But half an hour later, we're here. Welcome everyone. Hope you're having fun. No, but I'm sorry. I don't know why that happened. No idea. It worked fine in the morning, and now it's just, oh well, technology. Technology is tricky indeed. Indeed, it is. So glad I figured it out. I'm glad you guys are still here. I can't believe you're still here half an hour later. I appreciate it. But welcome, welcome. And welcome to the live discussion of The Burning Earth by Sunil Amrith. This book is a nonfiction and it is an environmental history of the last 500 years. I think the emphasis should be on the history. It does focus a lot on the environmental as well, but in some cases it felt like I'm not really sure what was the environmental impact of this specific thing, but I mean, in the end, it kind of added up anyway. The leafy background was pretty okay, good. Yeah, I like that background. Just continued reading while waiting. Okay, yeah, that's good. Well, I admit I'm cooking dinner while waiting. Okay, good. So let me go back up to see your comments. Finish the last bit I had left and my power is back on. Amazing. Not to leave this tab open in case I forget. Oh, now to leave this tab open. Okay, this was when? This was 5:36. Okay, so it was 1.5 hours before the live. All right. Nice. Yeah, then there was the struggle here. Can skip those comments. Technology's difficulties to the max. It was working fine this afternoon. Yeah, I know. It was so strange. I really liked the audio narrator and thought the book was very interesting. I don't know if I have much else to say, honestly. Yeah, I'm honestly feeling the same. I was even looking online if I can find some like group reading questions or something, or like reading group questions. I didn't find any, so we just gotta wing it. So we'll see. I've only finished part 1, but I'm really liking it. I like the narration style and how he keeps linking things together. Yeah, definitely. Only finished part 1. Which one was that? Let me just quickly look at that. So part 1 is okay until 1800. Okay. Yeah, that one I think I struggled with the most because it was so far removed from me, and I in general was never good in history. I never could really, I don't know, like I had a great teacher, but I was never interested in history. No matter what I did, no matter how engaging the professor was or the teacher was, I never did well with history. So it's just, I just kind of gave up. So I did struggle with this a little bit because it was so far removed and I just don't know much about it. And for the exact same reason, I found it interesting because I didn't know a lot of the things, or I want to say I never heard of them, but I probably heard of them in school, but completely forgot. And I think like I read it now and I will completely forget again. Like this is not the kind of thing that stays in my brain. Unfortunately, my brain eliminates this. So yeah, but definitely found it interesting. Yeah, like the narration style and how he keeps linking things together. Definitely, I agree with that. Also, like how he starts with the history and then goes on to how that has impacted this climate, the climate, ecology, environment, etc. Yeah, yeah, I think that was really well done to get both of those. I could have done without the revealing of entire movie book plots, though, instead linking. True. Yes, there were some things that were like completely like at the end this happens. I'm like, but spoilers. But yeah, guess he assumes that people have seen these things, and if they haven't by now, then it's. And I'll be honest. Like I read what happened in the movies or in the books that he was describing, but wouldn't be able to repeat it now. So I'm fine. But yeah, history through the lens of climate was really interesting to read here. Whatever. Yeah, it was for sure. Very interesting. I did struggle to pick it back up, but when I was reading it, I was very interested in where we're gonna go and what are the impacts. And oftentimes, I felt like, why is this important? And I was wondering like, where are you leading me? And that was kind of like keeping me in as well. Like, how is this gonna connect to anything? And it always did connect to something. So that was really cool. Um, then you guys heard the sound like a blob blob. And then we're back in action. Was working too. We are adaptable, yes. I really liked it was the history instead of future perspective. Yes. Yeah, exactly. I do. At some point towards the end, I did feel like maybe it would be interesting to have a little chapter, a few pages about like the future possibilities. But then I'm like, well, that's not what the book is about. The book is history. This guy is a historian. He's a professor or like professor of history. So that's not his job to predict the future, right? So it makes sense. And it didn't take away from my enjoyment of the book. I was just like, maybe could have like done a little bit more of that. And then sometimes I felt a little bit like how to describe this? Like, not that I wanted more of this, to be honest. Like, I feel like there was a lot of text, and I was just like, let's just be done with it. Not because I don't like it, just because I don't enjoy history in general. But at the same time, I found it interesting. But I was thinking at some point, even like, okay, about this, I would like to have more information. I feel like sometimes he just glanced by some things that I would have liked, like investigate or explore a little bit more. But then probably you could say that about every single thing he said in the book, and then the book would have to be 5 times as long at least. So in a way, I mean, I get it, but for example, I thought they would die or he would dive a little bit more, or I think it would be very interesting to hear that from like the history point of view, the reality of it, of this. He just kind of mentioned it like with one sentence and just continued, um, where people started saying that the oil and the fossil fuels are ruining the environment and we should lean away from it. And then having proof that the oiling companies knew about it since like 1970s, like, and they claimed for decades that they didn't, that no problems, that they did research and there are no problems. But then there is some information, there is some documents that show and prove that they did know about it from the very start, that it's causing issues in the air and environment, air pollution and everything. And like this kind of like connection, I feel like he just glanced over it a little bit too fast. And I literally mean like that was like one sentence. And I feel like that's quite big, not big part of the history, but such an important thing in our modern era, that I hoped he would spend maybe half a page on it, maybe show some documents or refer. I mean, maybe he did refer. There was a lot of references, so maybe I just need to look into that. But that kind of that part I was, and I think there may be two more things that I thought like I would like to know a bit more about this. But in general, and I really enjoyed it that it didn't go into too much detail. So I'm a little bit like conflicted on that. So maybe it's more like there are some things I'm interested in that I would like to go into more detail on, and then some others that I'm glad we skipped that. So but that's gonna be different for everybody. So in that way, it will be very difficult to write this book. So that's just like again my little observation. But it could be very much just my thing, and other people will be like, yeah, we know that happened. We don't need to read about it more. Um, and then I loved one part I absolutely loved, and that like hit me, was the pig disease in the end. Again, I'm probably skipping forward, so I don't know if this is a spoiler. Should we call it spoilers or not? Let me know. He talks something about pig disease and then makes some connection, and I thought that was fantastic, and I was amazed. Like I never heard of that connection before, and so let me know if that's a spoiler. So if you haven't read the entire thing, do you want to know, or do you want to read it yourself, and then we can discuss it on Discord later? Let me know. I'm not gonna say yet. I'm a history buff, so did enjoy the historical approach. That's great. Yes. Yeah, I was a little bit worried about it because this is definitely against me. Like this book is against me. History, no. My least favorite subject. I'm not kidding. My least favorite subject was history always. And not because I hated it. I just found it always boring and very difficult to remember. Like, there was no logic to it. I just had to memorize, and I'm not good at memorizing. So nope. But yeah, so I was worried that how this would land with you guys. So I'm glad that there are some fans of history here that really enjoy that. I listened to a lecture thing a few weeks ago about ancient civilizations of North America, which is fascinating, but such a boring lecture. This narrator really made a difference for me. Oh, that's amazing. That is amazing. Okay, good to know. Yeah, I enjoy history, but the dates and facts rarely stick in my brain. Also, not great with remembering acronyms and other abbreviations, so it's just a me thing. Yeah, I have that similar, honestly. Like, also, when I was a kid, I just found it boring and was frustrated that I couldn't remember anything, so I just hated history, but that was like history, class in school. Now, I don't hate history as a concept. If it's even ridiculous to say, but like I like learning about things in the past, and I am very frustrated that I did not learn it in school. I'm sure we learned a lot about these things in school, but me hating the class didn't learn nothing. So this was very very interesting for me, but at the same time I will not remember anything. I will read this, maybe like if I would read this in half a year again, it is if I never read it before. So yeah, I didn't really notice that. Guess I had seen all those movies already. Yeah. The fact that the Spanish and Portuguese invasion of the Americas potentially caused climate cooling because of the destruction of forest and agriculture was super interesting. I went and Googled it more. Yeah. Yeah. That was really interesting. Yeah. But I'm an environmental science graduate, so these are things that excite me. Yeah, exactly. We are very different, have very different approaches, and this like very much interests me as well. Um, like that's why I thought it was really interesting, but at the same time, I know I will remember nothing, unfortunately. Um, but I did find it interesting, and like the approach to the workers and the slaves, and how it all affected one thing and another. And like at some point, I also really liked how it was just like 100 years ago when they, or maybe 200 years ago, I don't know when it was. See, I don't know when it was. I just read it and I don't know. But when they started using the fossil fuels and they finally could divert away from reliance on sun wind and water, and it was so much easier. And I was like, that's not even about greed. That's just about progress and making like decisions and not experiments, improvements for the society to do better, to be healthier. Well, healthier, we could talk about the air pollution, but uh, overall, like, the medicine improved, and that is definitely big part thanks to fossil fuels. Like, everything that we have today and the high standard of living that we have is thanks to the fossil fuels. Now, of course, today is a very different discussion when we are returning back to the wind and solar and these energies. But I really found that, like, interesting how back in the day it was just like, oh, thank God we don't have to use this unreliable energy anymore. And today we have so much better technology thanks to the fossil fuels that we can go back to those unreliable sources. So I thought that was such a nice circle. And to me, it makes very much sense that we just did the fossil fuels to I don't know if to this extent, but it makes sense to me. It's just kind of like now individual choice to be more mindful about it and try not to abuse it as much. But we living our comfortable lives is not that easy. So yeah, it is greed, but it's also some life standard that we have now. I do not want to go back to you know pooping outside of the house if we go that far back. And I, like, now I live in Sweden, and of course we do have um, sustainable, or see, now my brain is completely frozen. Sustainable energy, like, we don't use fossil fuels to heat the house. But if you couldn't heat the house, I would freeze here. Everybody would freeze here. So then what do we move south because it's not livable here, and then everybody, then we have opposite migration. So it's like, it's not that easy to figure out. It's a very complicated issue. But yeah, so I like that circle. We're all here for the climate nerdery too. Yes. I want to know more about the Indira Gandhi. Definitely yes. That was fascinating. Gandhi, you seriously can tell when I'm on my phone. Can it be spoilers if it's a real history? I don't know. I don't think so. I don't think we can do this without spoilers. Yeah, I mean, it's not spoilers if it's history, but at the same time, sometimes you have these kind of connections that just blow your mind. So I'm just asking you guys, like, I don't think it's spoilers, but maybe if you want to have like a first impression experience, then that's fine. I don't think it's spoilers because it's history. I'm happy to hear it all, even though I've not finished. I haven't finished the book either. My least favorite was math, so that was my favorite. Sorry, I have to run. Dinner's ready, and my parents are waiting. Okay, go. Sorry for it to be taking so long here, especially the half an hour with the technical difficulties. I'm really sorry. So hope you enjoy dinner. I have heard some stories of the cultural impact that the colonizers had, but this has brought up some new ones. Yeah, this was brand new for me a lot of the time. So it was very interesting. But so is that okay for everybody to say, like, the spoilers, like one of the things in the end that I found fascinating? Is that okay for, I guess, Larissa, for you who haven't finished? I found it fascinating, the connection of, like, the what was it, like the pig flu uh, killing people because of climate change. I love that connection. And that at some point they had no idea how that happened. They were just theories, and then like 2 years later, like, they found out actually how that happened. So that was really cool. Mm. Yeah, so basically they found out that because of, was it because of smog and air pollution, the trees from which bats eat their fruits and flowers were not as fertile as they should be, and so they had to move to different parts, especially closer to the pig enclosures, where there was more of these kind of uh, fruits, and they could find more of the food. And that's where pigs came into contact with the bats, because before that they would never be in the same area. But now these bats were forced to move for food because of the pollution, and they infected the pigs, and then the pigs infected people, and lots of people died from it. And I found that fascinating. It's disappointing, but not surprising to see everyone covering stuff up, and scientists are like, no. Yeah, yeah. I like these posts that are, I don't know who it is on Instagram that I follow. It's some organization. And, as Trump's administration said that, yeah, scientists say that, like most of the scientists say that the climate change is man made, but there are some scientists that say it's not, so we don't believe it. And it's like 99% of scientists say it's man-made, and then there is like 1% that say otherwise. And then there are these like memes or pictures where it's like, imagine there is 99 lifeguards at the beach, and they tell you that there is a shark in the water and it's dangerous to swim and you shouldn't. And then there is one lifeguard who tells you that, you know what, it's fine, you can go. And you'll be like, yeah, I'll believe that one, and I'm going to swim. And I'm like, I mean, not that I believe it, like, not that I agree with Travis or anything on that kind of, but it's like it just puts in a different perspective that it just like kind of slaps you like, yes, that's insane to think that way. Like, of course, you're always going to have different um, opinions, even in science. But if 99% tell you one thing, then that's probably the real thing. But by everyone, I mean all the countries' governments, yeah. Everything on this earth is so strongly connected to each other. Yeah, it is insane how connected it is. um like when I'm doing the course, I did the course last year, was it in autumn? That one had lots of interesting situations like this, when you had like this kind of thing that humans do, that you just do automatically, you don't even think about, affects this, affects this, affects this, affects this, affects this, and that causes that the fish in the sea are dying, and then that causes that this kind of fish or bear is starving and dying out. And like, how it's so connected, it's incredible. Oh, I actually remember the book mentioned the Sierra Club. They do lots of good work. Yeah, yeah. I don't know them, but it sounded great. So, yeah, I think it was not my favorite CliMates Bookclub book, but it made so many great like points. It taught me a lot, or it actually, I don't know. I will not remember lots of it. I just know this. It's history, so I will not remember it. From the history, from my history, I remember that I will not remember this. So that's why it's not my favorite. But at the same time, I really liked different, like learning about different things, different continents. He included everything: America, South America, Africa, Europe, Asia. Didn't talk much about Australia. A little bit, not much, but like covered the entire world and activists from around or all around the world. So I thought it was really amazing. Um, so yeah, this was great. And I'm glad we read it. I'm glad some of you are history nerds, so you hopefully enjoyed it. And yeah, I don't know if I would read anything else by this author, but this was good. And I also listened to it on audiobook, which definitely helped a lot. The narrator was great. Mm. There was one thing that mentioned something where the whole world came together to vote on something, and it was the only time in history we basically acted like a planet. Sad. Yeah. What was that? I don't know what that was. Pretend it made sense. Wow. No, it made sense, but I don't know what it was. And then in the end, I marked the page where he mentions two video games that are focused on uh, yeah, one of them is Terranil, reimagines the genre of the world building game by pricing ecological repair and restoration. And then Anno 1800 by the game studio Ubisoft, the environment responds actively to the player's choices, punishing monoculture cultivation with soil erosion and rewarding sustainable approaches to building community. So I'm like, I need to check those out. That sounds fun. I'm liking it so far, but it was a mistake to try and power through. It's not really a book I can listen to or read for hours. No, I 100% agree. It's not that kind of book. And I was trying to do that on Friday, like read, I think, more than half of it on Friday, but I just couldn't. It just didn't work. And I started to feel after a while like it was so much information, I just started to log out. Like literally, I was starting to thinking about something else. I was following along and I was listening to it, but I was thinking about something completely else. I was like, okay, now I need a break. I need to do something else for a little bit because it was just too much. So I absolutely agree and understand. So take your time with it, and hope you're somewhat enjoying it. If you're not a history nerd like me, did anybody rate it? I did not give it the rating on Goodreads because I did not enjoy it all that much. Like I feel like I'm contradicting myself a lot here, but I enjoyed learning about all the things, but I was also bored, and I also know I will not remember anything. So for me, this book did not give me all that much. Some things I will remember, but most of it I'll forget. Which is sad that my brain works that way. So for me, it would be like a 3 star or something, but it feels unfair. So I did not rate it at the end of the day. I would recommend to anybody who's interested in the history and in environment, but you know, it's a tough one. Yeah, I only done about 1.5 hours at a time max, and I had it on a slightly slower speed than usual. Yeah, exactly. You need to process a lot of information, so that makes sense. I don't usually rate stuff like this because I have no idea how to. I enjoy learning and retaining nothing. Yeah, yeah, honestly. Isn't that the truth? Yeah. So I did not rate it. I'll probably rate it in my Copal system, but I don't think I'll rate. I will not rate it on Goodreads. So that would be the Burning Earth. I don't know if there is anything else anybody would like to say more. I feel like there is not that much more to say. I marked a lot of things, like underlined a lot, not like a lot, but um, I did mark some things when it like stood out to me, but I did not put tabs. I should have put tabs. I thought from the beginning that it would be, because in the beginning, in the prologue, I underlined almost on every page, and I was like, yeah, I'm not gonna tab every page. But then going through the entire book, I did not tag that much or like underline. So maybe I could go back through the book and actually put tags where I underlined things. Um, so yeah, anything interesting underlined? First World War. It was not only an imperial but also an ecological catastrophe. It slaughtered animals, devoured forests, feasted on minerals, and left its poisonous trace in soils that remain toxic more than a century later. True. True that. Here I have something underlined. While the infrastructure of the 19th century mitigated the vulnerability of well endowed farmers to seasonal fluctuations, It deepened the environmental insecurity of those, a substantial majority of people in the world, who could not access the infrastructure or didn't have the purchasing power to benefit from it. So I like how he puts it that way, that yes, it was amazing for some people, and like that still has value, but at the same time it was never considered the other way around. And that also I really liked in the end when it was about the is it the geoengineering, when they want to like the geoengineers, they want to release some chemical into the atmosphere to cool down the earth, because that worked for like in some other way, and people are against it. I really like the point of where uh, the people from the developing countries that are not as often listened to are really very much against this, because if there would be any side effects to this kind of geoengineering thing, then again they would probably not be listened to in how it's harming them. And it will be again just like, it's helping us in the West, this is good, and we don't care about what happens in the Africa. So I like that part as well, that it would be just again the same issue. So that was interesting. The final and absolute test of good government is the well-being and contentment of the people, not the extent of empire or the abundance of the revenue and the trade. Tried by this test, how seldom have we succeeded? I underline lots of good things here. Um, Definitely glad I read it though. Sometimes I forget how much I enjoy nonfiction. Yes, the same. The World War parts were hard to read in a different way than usual, because we always focus on how many people died, why, by the environment, but the environment, how, is just as awful. Yes, the environment part was horrible as well, and especially when they dropped the atomic bombs. That's, I mean, of course, horrible. Like the description, like I will have to say, we learned a lot about World War I and World War II in school, but I do not remember talking about the atomic bombs in Hiroshima and Nagasaki. I know about them, of course, but I don't remember it being described in school the way it was in this book. How basically, in the moment it exploded, like 70,000 people dropped dead is insane. Or how many people? It was like tens of thousands, and some like stable. There were some stables, and I don't know how many horses as well. Just like done. And I didn't know that. Like I actually don't know how atomic bombs work in like in the moment of the explosion. So that is just that was absolutely horrible to read about. And well, now I know more, and I kind of want to learn more about it, because it's fascinating in the worst kind of way, but it is fascinating, and the power that those things have. So that was horrible. I marked the sentence: "The land, like our skin, is bound to conserve the traces of past wounds." Oh wow, yeah, that is beautiful. I think I did I. Where is that in the book? Maybe I know I loved it as well. I don't know if I underlined it though. In the century of the Industrial Revolution, the deepest impact of human activity and ambition on the earth remained the oldest growing food. So some of it is just kind of like facts, instead of like, okay, this actually is, beautiful. Beautiful in a horrible way, of course, but I did also have a break to sing when they mentioned DDT. What is that? Disney Dreamlight Valley? No, what is that? Yes, that's a great line, Larissa. There are a few of those. Yeah. It's page 2 of my ebook. Okay, maybe I have that underlined as well. No? Was it resilience I was seeing? Or blindness is what I underlined. Where is it? Page 2, you say? Is it in the prologue? Is prologue page 1? Yeah, it should be. Something about a taxi. Okay, I'm not gonna. Oh, here! I found it. Yes. A line from the French historian of the Mediterranean, Fernand Braudel, came to my mind. The land, like our skin, is bound to conserve the traces of past wounds. Yes. Yeah. Where did you go, Evolve? Lol. This seems like a game you're good at. Yeah, exactly. I'm surprised. Why don't we have answer from Evolve yet? um, the one that's like they paved paradise to pit up a parking lot. I don't know. I don't know what that is. Sorry. Oh, pop, pop, pop. Put up a parking lot. Okay. Yeah, I don't know. But that would probably be it for the Burning Earth. I don't know if anybody has more thoughts. Let me know, definitely. But I don't think I have that much more to say about the Burning Earth. That weren't that much controversial things. Honestly, it's history. Like what are you gonna talk about? Um, so that's done. Now the next one we should be reading is not a nonfiction. Is Big Yellow Taxi. Thanks, George. I don't know that song. But the next book is Braiding Sweetgrass, Indigenous Wisdom, Scientific Knowledge, and the Teachings of Plants by Romin Wall Kimmerer, which is also Penguin. I'm in growing my collection of Penguin books. I have a bunch already that I can see. And 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 7 at the moment that I can see. Anywho, Braiding Sweetgrass. We should be reading. This is another dance one. We were talking about this with Larissa earlier today. There is audiobook on Storytel. We found it there in Europe. I don't know in the US where it would be, if it would be on Storytel or Audible or where you could find it, Everend. My question though is, we should be reading it in November, and it's already second half of November. Do we still feel like we can squeeze it in? I will probably post this question in Discord, but ponder it in the meantime. Do you feel like you would like to read it now with, the next book for the book club coming in December? We have Anne of Green Gables, the second book to discuss. We also have Adulthood Rights, the sequel to the, what are you called? Dawn by Octavia E. Butler that we wanted to read. So we have few books to go through. Do we want to race through this one now? Or should we just leave it for now and we just get to it when we get to it, or schedule for next year? Or should we read it now? That's basically my question. I'm good with either of the options. I plan to read it now. So if we pick that we do want to stick to it and read it now, good for me. I'm just trying to figure out what works best for you. So let me know. And I have the song stuck in my head. I bet you don't know it. You just don't realize you know it. Maybe it's a jam. You're welcome. What is it called? Big Yellow Taxi. Let me Google that for a second, and I probably have to mute because copyright. Big Yellow Taxi. Big Yellow Taxi. November 2025. Anyone who first comment? Commercials. Can you hear anything? I don't think so. Excited for Braiding Sweetgrass. What apart? Oh yeah, of course I know the song. Come on. Me do know the Counting Crows song. I don't know. Oh yeah, they did cover it. I forgot that. See, you know the things. Yeah, exactly. Okay, so you're excited for that one. I'm also excited for it. I think this will be more up my alley than the Burning Earth, so I'm really excited for this one. I mentioned again in the morning, but I'll say it here as well because not everybody was there in the morning. I read last month the Firekeeper's Daughter, which is written by a Native American author, and it does focus like wholly on Native American culture and like the tribes and everything. And that part I found absolutely fascinating and loved it. So I'm really excited to read this one. I'm about to fall down a Counting Crows rabbit hole. Maybe. No, don't do it. Or do, if it's fun. But okay, I will shoot the question in the Discord. Go and vote there. I will probably try to post it right away so I don't forget to vote about this one because it would be kind of like 2-3 week window to read this one, I imagine. So it could be a bit tight, but I mean doable, but could be tight. So I just want to know, to give people the best setup for this. And then we could potentially read it some other time when we don't have so many other reading plans happening. So for me, it depends on when all the lives for all the books will be. Yeah, I mean that I put poll on Discord, so you always decide. I listened to the Service Berry by that author. Yeah, I think is that here anywhere? This author also by Robin Walkimer. It says Gathering Moss, but I mean this was published this book 2013. So I wonder if this was printed in 2013. It wouldn't say the newer books. And it is blurbed by Jane Goodall. An extraordinary book showing how the factual, objective approach of science can be enriched by the ancient knowledge of the indigenous people. It is the way she captures beauty that I love the most. The images will stay with you long after you read the last page. And then we have Elizabeth Gilbert. No, that's a different one. Colbert. And Maria Popova, Brain Pickings. I think she read the audio too. Oh, she did. Okay. It's very short and newish. Right. Jane Goodall Young. Yeah, I know. Yeah, who reads the audiobook for this one? I didn't check. The author does. The author reads the book, actually. So that's cool. So if there are any, yeah, there's gonna be a lot of words from the languages. I mean, there is so many different languages, right, of North America, of Native Americans. So it's gonna be really cool that we're gonna get the correct pronunciation of the things. I'm happy. Yeah, is there anything else we should discuss? If in the poll ends up that this we want to leave for next year or something, we'll see. I'm up to reading it now. Like for me, it doesn't matter. I just know it's a bit tight. So if this would be voted that we leave it for the next year, the next book we would be reading on our proper schedule is Once There Were Wolves by Cheryl McConaughey. Now, we read for a book club, for this book club, the first book by Cheryl McConaughey. We read The Migrations. This was, I think, back in the day when there was not that many people in the book club, and I read it with Jess, and we both gave that 5 stars. Absolutely loved that book. So I'm really excited for this one. And that could go very wrong because I have such high expectations from this. I also know what to go in like expecting because I know the writing in Migrations. So I'm stoked. Is that the word? I'm excited, but I'm also a little bit worried because that one set the bar high. So I have very high expectations for that one. See, the same. Yes, I do too. Because loved the Migration so much, and now there is even a newer book published this year by this author. So if I love this, immediately buying that one as well. Even though that one didn't make it to our book club next year, but I'm gonna read it on my own, and maybe we'll just want to read it together anyway. Who knows? Maybe somebody read. But this is the December book, so we'll be discussing this one probably beginning of January, I expect. So just so we know, yeah. Is there anything more? Same. I need to calm down about it. Yes. Yes. It could go so wrong just because I expect so much, because I love the migrations so much. Or just migrations, not the migrations. That one was that was a ride. That was something. Still remember the way it made me feel. It was wow. Wow. That one was amazing. To this day, one of my favorite books. Probably top 5. Could be. It moves around. Top 7. Definitely top 7. So, should we wrap it up? Are we satisfied with this huge technical struggle? Did fix it at the end. Then we discussed a bit. Now I'm planning, it is only 8 o'clock, so I'm open to continue on Discord. We could have some sprints and have some more reading to do, or some to do some more reading, because I still have to, not don't have to, I still want to finish a book I'm reading, audiobook. I have about how much? 347 left, it says. Let me do the math on that. 347, that's 75. 2.5 hours left in that. So I feel like that still could be doable today. So I'm thinking hosting sprints on Discord. So I'm going to post there a message now as well, asking if anybody's up for sprints, and then we can continue there. Are we happy here? Are we satisfied with this one? Boo, math on weekends. Don't come for my math. We are all different. Some people like math like me. Some people don't like you, and that's okay. No, it's fine. I used calculator. I did not actually do it in my head. I did use calculator. I saw that it was 3 hours and 47 minutes on audio. So that's 3 hours and 3.75 hours, right? See, even there I do math, but I don't know. That's easy math. 3.75 and then divide by 1.5 to get the real speed that I'm listening at. So it's the calculator who did it, not me. I still have some work to do, and I can definitely use the extra motivation of sprints. Good. Good. I mean, not good that you have work to do, but the sprints. So yeah, I think we can wrap up here. So thank you so much for joining me today. Thank you so much for reading the book with me. I'm glad you enjoyed it. I was a bit afraid of this one, so I'm really glad you enjoyed. And yeah, keep an eye on the Discord for the poll about the braiding sweetgrass and what we do about that one. If we vote that we want to read it now, I will immediately tomorrow post, or next week. I don't want to promise tomorrow. I will try tomorrow, but post a poll about when we would like to discuss it, so we have a date already to go towards, because that I would find a priority, and book I feel is very light and easy to get through, so that one I wouldn't be worried about. So that is the plan. Keep an eye on Discord, and I will see you in the sprints there. If not on Discord sprints tonight, then on Tuesday on my usual sprints. Let it take workout. Then thank you all for the discussion. Yeah, honestly, I was at some point thinking, like, should we just cancel it and then do it another time? I was thinking like maybe it will come to that, but luckily I figured it out. It took me half an hour, but I did, so I'm kind of proud of myself, I have to say. To be a little humble here. I'm glad I figured it out. So we got to discuss it a bit here. Thank you that you stayed. Thank you for your patience. And I'll talk to you on Discord. So, and if you're not joining there, then hope you have a great rest of the day or have a good night. And I'll see you in the next one. Bye.